Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 26. For this last chapter, I will be sharing my experiences in growing my ArtStation account, how to get views, what works to include in your portfolio, and lastly, growing as an artist. And before we start, I would like to show you, I've used this now as my wallpaper. Okay, so how to start building your ArtStation account. ArtStation is by far the most used portfolio or gallery in the industry, and getting noticed on ArtStation can benefit greatly in getting commissions, contracts, and jobs, especially for a 3D artist. Like all social media, growing viewership is the key here, and knowing what your viewers want to see is essential. Some important points that I want you to watch out for are, so because it's a portfolio site and not like a blog like X or Instagram, needless to say, you need to include your best work. And you can have your work in progress as part of your work. And this leads to the next point, is what you showcase for each work. And here you want to get into the heads of your audiences. And imagine that you, as an audience yourself, what would you like to see as the first image? What are the images that can draw you into a project? And typically, you can think of the image that can best represent your work. So let's take this, for example. This is the image that I planned the most. I made sketches for. And in the end, this is one that I used for the main image. But then as you go down, you don't want to include so many renders. For each render, you may spend like hours on that. But once you have like 5 or 6, then it gets boring. So you want to break up that pace by including maybe just like a clay render of your scene. So people can see what the lighting is without all the textures. And maybe you want to include like a rotating model to showcase your main character. And you want to maybe put in some of renders in different angles. And then you can include more renders, some close-ups, and then maybe some animation that showcases your different layering in your environment. So you don't want your same type of images to be grouped together, like all renders are grouped together. You want them to be placed interchangeably. So this, for example, I started off with an animation, render. So after 3, another render would be like, after 3 close-up shots, then you want like a further shot to, change the pace. Then after 4 renders, there's a little animation, then some more close-ups, and then a process, and then another render, so that people looking through your works don't get bored. Because I'm pretty sure for every of the piece of render you do, you have put so much hours and effort into that, so don't let those get to waste by making the showcase boring for your audiences. Okay, now with all the images placed, you have to start thinking about your thumbnails, which is here. They're really important because if we go to the main page, or if we go to the trending page, you'll see that everything you see are in thumbnails. And there are just like thousands of like incredible work by the top artists in the world. And it's really hard to stand out. Like there are ones that would draw, that kind of pulls you in, so you want to click it. And there are ones that, you would just take a look and then you'll just keep scrolling down. Okay, so here you're basically creating a clickbait. So with this journal, what it says is that here, highly polished, fan-esque, sexy work do sell. Back in the days before they changed the algorithm, these are the ones that get the most views. And now that the algorithm has changed, the trend is still the same. So character art, fan art, sexy art get the views. and therefore the most click. And this is also tried and true for me. Whereas for one of my pieces, this one, let me show you. For this one, my initial thumbnail was of all three of them together. And that got me, I think, like 10 or 20 views in the first, several hours. Then I'm like, okay, this is not working. Maybe I should focus on just the character. So she's looking, sexy. And after that, then I begin getting more views. So that's sort of like my experience. That, okay, for the thumbnail, you want to have like, something that's a character and something that's attractive. So in essence, sex do sell. But here, I'm not encouraging you to only create sexy work or for, to have something sexy, even if you're doing a really serious scene. But that in reality, for your portfolio, you can have a mix of serious and sexy work. So you can have something sexy and something serious, something sexy, something serious. So there's like a mix of things. So it also shows your range in creating things. And that leads us to our next point, is your range as an artist. As an artist, you can have lots of interests, such as doing characters, doing props. If we go here, you can see that there are so many channels here. You have illustration, character modeling, science fiction, Unreal Engine, fantasy, game art, matte painting. It's all of these things. So you can have lots of interests in doing all the things, which is absolutely fine. However, having consistency is key to promoting yourself, because you don't want to be known as an artist who is good at everything, but you want to be known as the artist that is a master of one thing. Take me, for example. I love to do characters with environments that has a narrative. So basically like a big scene. But then those actually do less well than ones that are just character focused. And for all the commissions I get, they are all character related and nothing to do so much as the environment. But fortunately, I really enjoy doing character art. And that is how your fans and subscribers would know you as, and how the industry would define you. So unfortunately, for those who love to experiment with different things, it's the sad truth. But that also means that you haven't yet found your specialty or your style. So don't give up hope and keep searching inside of you. And that is also why it's really important to be creating the kind of art you enjoy. Because having to repeatedly do one type of art can wear one out really quickly, even for the most enthusiastic artists. So you have to find your strong suit, what you love to do as an artist, and practice the hell out of that. And for the next point, it might sound like a tinfoil, but posting at certain times can also affect your views. Because you want to be posting during the weekdays. Because a lot of people browse ArtStation for inspirations for their work, and during weekends, they'll probably not be browsing. And here is an analytic for one of my pieces. It's this one, because here you have more views. We can look at other ones, but the views are all in the tens. So we want to look at a view that still has views in hundreds, so we get a bigger pool to analyze. And for all the dips are all happening in the weekends. So it's actually kind of obvious that, yeah, so when you post on the weekends, there are less people going through the views. Whereas if you're posting during the weekdays, you get more views. And for time zones, I would say that is less of an issue, because there are users all over the world that use ArtStation. But I would say if you do want to focus, you can focus on the North American time zone. Because if we take a look at this, we'll see that by traffic-wise, it's still most visited by users from the US as well as South America up here. Although Russia is also really big, the time zone it's really, really wide because it's such a big country. So the next you want to focus on is the EU time as well. Unfortunately, For China, it's still restricted by VPN. So then the traffic is restricted as compared to North America or EU. So yeah, that's my take on the time zones. So you want to be, posting around the morning because people go to work. The first thing they'll do is probably open up ArtStation to browse. And when they're about to get off work, they're like, okay, yeah, so I'm about to go home, so let's just do something. And they just turn on ArtStation and start browsing. So maybe around, 5 p.m. ish would also be another good time. 4 or 5 p.m. Yeah. And lastly is the frequency for your updates. So like all social media, the more you post, the more opportunities you'll get and more views and likes you'll get. But as mentioned above, post only your quality work. And as mentioned above, you need to find how to differ yourself from others. The special quality does not only mean what type of art you do, for example, character art, environment art, or props, etc. is categorized here, but also how your work differs within each type. So, for example, for me, I really like to add photoreal shaders and textures to my characters. And even if the characters are a little exaggerated in their looks, but their poses and scene give them a sense of narrative. So that is the kind of job that I get offered. And whereas you may be really good at making different expressions, or that their pose gives the character energy and soul, and that would be your trait in your character you create. And this can only be discovered by doing lots of practice, as well as doing what you really love. If it's only for the purpose of landing a job, then it's really difficult to be inspired enough to create something deep and meaningful to you. And finding your art style is like finding that one true love in life, where if you focus on just her looks or her height, then there are millions of similar looking people. However, the one soulmate is a connection established in the soul, and something inside of you just clicks when you see each other. So don't get restricted by the categories or styles defined already by the industry. There are millions of people doing those things. And like top artists whose name is the definition of an art style, we don't judge their work by the standards of their technical skills, but by the beauty of their style. So you have to keep creating like you're looking for the love of your life. Of course, the main premise is that you are worthy of being loved. That is, your technical skills are reached a certain level, and that you are firmly aware what that love is. Then that person would appear unexpectedly. Also, don't worry about your technical skills too much, because you are an artist and not a technician. Even with AI being incredibly efficient, clients are still looking for artists for work. And that is because the market does not lack in skills, but in creativity. And that is exactly what you should be doing by creating things, original things, instead of being too caught up by how proficient you are at a program. Because as tools, such as AI, it'll just become more and more intuitive, and everyone later on will be able to create good-looking art. But among those good-looking art, the one with a soul will no doubt stand out from the rest. Just like yourself, when browsing ArtStation for inspirations, your potential client is also browsing ArtStation the same way. And looking over thousands and thousands of art, just like you, among all those amazing looking art, there are always that one which hits you in the gut. And that is the same as how clients feel when they see something that connects to their soul. Okay, it's getting late. There are so many things that I still want to share with you from my experience. So definitely reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want some advice, or if you just want me to comment on your work. You have been listening to me all this time, and I would love to hear from you as well. It was an amazing journey that we shared, and I value you as a person very, very much. This is not goodbye, because I feel that in the future we will share even more journeys together. So until then, this is the end of this chapter. Bye for now.